Ah, Tulsi, we hardly knew ya. All right. Well, you might remember a few years back, this was in the halcyon days of 2017, when a young Nikki Glazer was teaching America how to laugh.
Right.
And Chuck Schumer made an appearance with the then full time worker, Rachel Maddow, and he opined on what the intelligence agencies might do to Donald Trump.
He's taking these shots, this antagonism,
Yep.
this taunting to the
Let me
intelligence
tell
community.
you take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated
I don't know,
to?
but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them.
Now, that clip got a lot of attention because it was one of those masks off moments where one of these swamp creatures forgot that they're giving away the game and that most people who are not in their world would find the game horrifying.
Right.
The idea that an elected official would kind of gleefully tell a reporter that the intelligence services are rogue, that they would act against the executive. Now, these are the same exact people who tell you how important it is to preserve democracy. Absolutely gleeful at the idea that unelected deep state bureaucrats can sabotage the elected chief executive at will. Didn't even occur to him that maybe that's saying the soft part out loud. But here's a good example of what Schumer was talking about. Well-known cult member and possible deep state op, Tulsi Gabbard, completely reversed herself on her position on a key provision of the Patriot Act, 701. I believe it's a provision of the Patriot Act. Trump's DNI pick,
I
Tulsi
think it was
Gabbard,
702.
702, defends controversial foreign spy power she once opposed. She also opposed the Patriot Act. I think I'm mixing those up.
That was 701.
That was 701. Director of National Intelligence Designate Tulsi Gabbard is defending the use of a controversial foreign spy power she once opposed while in Congress, while still pledging to uphold Americans' Fourth Amendment right against warrantless searches of their communications. Gabbard, 43, issued a rare statement ahead of her confirmation hearing next week, promising to maintain the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act's so-called Section 702 authority if installed as the next chief of all 17 intelligence agencies. Quote, Section 702, unlike other FISA authorities, is crucial for gathering foreign intelligence on non-U.S. persons abroad, she said. This unique capability cannot be replicated and must be safeguarded to protect our nation while ensuring the civil liberties of Americans. Wow, sounds like a completely different person. As she often does. As she often does. Really depends on the cycles of the moon, which Tulsi you get. My prior concerns about FISA were based on insufficient protections for civil liberties, particularly regarding the FBI's misuse of warrantless search powers on American citizens, Gabbard added in her statement, which was first reported by Punchbowl News. Quote, significant FISA reforms have been enacted since my time in Congress to address these issues. If confirmed as DNI, I will uphold Americans' Fourth Amendment rights while maintaining vital national security tools like Section 702 to ensure the safety and freedom of the American people. War is peace. Ignorance is strength. Freedom is slavery. One Republican aide snarked to the Post that Gabbard's about face sounds like a hostage statement as she prepares to be grilled by security-minded Senate lawmakers. She, quote, she is clearly saying this to assuage concerns from intel hawks that she is insufficiently committed to spying on Americans, the aide said. Whether she is merely telling them what they want to hear and intends to implement further reforms once in office, or has truly abandoned major FISA reform as a goal, is an open question. Regardless, this person added, her assertion that the latest FISA reforms substantially resolved her concerns with the program sounds like a hostage statement, as anyone who has been working for a real overhaul knows they didn't fix the most pressing underlying problems. Senator Tom Cotton, who's chairing the Intelligence Committee that will consider Gabbard's nomination, told Punchbowl in a statement that the Hawaiian assured him in private meetings she will follow the law and support its reauthorization as DNI. That's important because it comes up for reauthorization every year. In 2020, then Democratic Rep. Gabbard introduced a bill ordering the Attorney General and Director of National Intelligence to destroy the information of any Americans swept up under the FISA program. The intelligence gathering tool, which Congress reauthorized last year and provides information for a large share of the president's daily brief, allows the FBI to obtain emails, text messages, and other data from potential foreign terrorists without requiring a warrant. However, critics note that American citizens can be exposed to these same searches if they communicated with targets of an investigation. I mean, we've talked to Uhuru like 4 or 5 times now. We're all over these warrants, right? Trump, 78, led a rebellion against the bill before its passage, urging Republicans to, quote, kill FISA, in his characteristics all caps, so you know he meant it. It was illegally used against me and many others. They spied on my campaign, thundered Trump, referring to the FBI's well-documented abuses of FISA authority to probe his 2016 campaign for alleged collusion with Russia. Critics have noted how the FBI has delved into U.S. citizens' data, with House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan citing a filing in the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court where the Bureau admitted to wrongly assessing information at least 278,000 times just in 2021. Those communications included improperly surveilling both Black Lives Matter affiliated protesters following the killing of George Floyd by Minneapolis police in May 2020, and supporters of former President Donald Trump who were linked to the January 6, 2021 Capitol riot. Quote, the FBI wasn't even following their own rules when they did those searches, Jordan said during floor debate over the FISA reauthorization bill. That's why we need a warrant. Justin Amash. The worst part of Tulsi's flip-flop on FISA is that the intel community will use her false epiphany on the subject to market it to skeptics. Make no mistake, FISA 702 allows the FBI NSA to unconstitutionally collect and search the communications of Americans without a warrant. Here's Clint Russell. I've been a big supporter of Tulsi Gabbard as DNI. If it's true that she now supports FISA 702 warrantless spying on Americans, then I have to withdraw my support. We don't need more of the same unconstitutional BS. We need major change. She might not represent that anymore. I would argue she never did. And here's Glenn Greenwald. This is how Washington really works. GOP senators are telling Tulsi Gabbard that the only way she has a chance to be confirmed is if she renounces her long-standing opposition to mass FBI NSA domestic spying powers and vows to support FISA Section 702. So let's take a look at what Glenn had to say here in part.
What happens in Washington? You get these people who are principled, vocal, committed opponents of the abuses of the U.S. security state for years. It's part of their public identity. And Tulsi Gabbard supported Donald Trump. He won the election. She was at his side. He named her to be the director of national intelligence. His party took over the Senate and the House, maintained their control of the House, took over the Senate, and none of these people care. No matter what the outcome of elections is, if you are not on board with, acquiescent to, willing to rubber stamp everything the U.S. security state wants, you cannot wield power in Washington. They will block you from ascending to power or remove you if you're there.
So there you go. Now we have one other thing. Here is this magic flip-flop at work. Here's already Republicans flocking to Gabbard's side.
Let me ask you about this incoming administration. There will be confirmation hearings. They begin this week. Let me ask you about Tulsi Gabbard, Mr. Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence. You have said that she needs to clarify where she stands on 702. And just to let our audience know what that is, that's a critical intelligence gathering authority. She consistently opposed it when she was in Congress. But here's what she said this week. She came out in support saying, quote, "If confirmed as DNI, I will uphold Americans' Fourth Amendment rights while maintaining vital national security tools like Section 702 to ensure the safety and freedom of the American people." Are Mrs. Gabbard's assurances enough for you, Senator? Are you now a yes on her?
Yeah, I am. And that was a very important piece for me. Obviously, she voted against 702 authority. And just to clarify that, that authority is for actually trying to be able to track terrorists overseas. That has nothing to do with American citizens or anything that's happening in the United States. It is if someone's planning to attack us overseas, we find out about that, we should be able to act on that. That's what 702 authority allows us to be able to do, is to be able to track international individuals overseas before they come and actually attack us. She voted against that in the House when she was a member of the House of Representatives, and it said she wanted changes. She's now coming in and saying those changes have been done, because even since she was in Congress, there have been quite a few changes that we've made in Congress to make sure we're protecting the civil rights of Americans. But when she came out and said, hey, this is something I'm going to stand for, that's part of the role of the Office of National Intelligence, is to make sure we're actually watching for people to come attack us and stopping them before they do.
Work like a charm.
That's James Lankford, senator from Oklahoma. Now, I don't think you have these other Republicans like Justin Amash and whoever spoke to the Post off the record, which is revealing.
Amash is not in Congress anymore. He's retired.
Nonetheless, he would not be coming out and saying that if these problems had really been fixed. You also had anonymous Republicans who are still in Congress speaking off the record to the Post. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. But I will say this. Yeah, libs, you can stab them in the back and they will not say a word. Well, they have to do that because something, the Republicans, right?
Right.
This is just like with the H-1B visa. This is creating a real rift.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think with Tulsi, she wants this job because she wants to be president someday. You know, the article mentions there she's 43 years old. She's still very, very young. You know, if she gets this job, that's just another resume builder. She definitely wants to be confirmed. She does not want to have her confirmation derailed because that would blunt any momentum she has towards running for the White House, which I do think is in her future. I think she's going to run at some point, maybe not in 4 years. She's so young, she could wait 12 years. I mean, she could wait until after Vance has served his 2 terms, assuming it all goes according to the plan in MAGA world, right? Which that's not a guarantee by any stretch, but the point is, in 12 years, she'll be 55. Like, she's very young for a political star, right? And she has chops. She would be a very, very formidable general election national candidate. I've always said that about Tulsi. I always thought she was probably the most electable of all the Democrats running in 2020 because of the military background, because she has a certain charisma about her, because she has crossover, sort of cross-partisan appeal, and she wants it. She wants it, and she's going to do what she can to get there, which means getting this job. She's going to twist herself however she has to in order to get through. She's not going to take any chances. I think she has pretty much locked this up at this point with this pivot. I mean, if you get Langford, I mean, who don't you have at that point? But if she has to do something else, I think she will. I think she's going to get the confirmation that she needs. And I think she is being as shrewd as she possibly can in her quest for the White House someday. That's my take.
Yeah, and my take is this is why I keep saying, and you have to be careful the way that you say these kinds of things. You're not voting your way out of this, folks. You're not voting your way out of this. The interests that are actually running this country are far too entrenched to be dislodged with anything so bourgeois as an election. That's not going to fix it. In the end, you think you voted against the establishment? Well, they're just not going to confirm anybody who does not bend the knee to the people who really run things. So
well, that's the other thing.
They will leave you the opportunity to change certain cultural things, as we're going to cover later on. Mark Zuckerberg has taken the tampons out of the bathrooms.
Right.
So, okay, you'll get that, sure. And this is why they spend so much time focusing your attention on that, because these kinds of fundamental things are not going to change. They are not going to change no matter who you vote for. Now, what is interesting about Trump's base is, as you could see from those tweets and others, they are making some noise about it, as they did with the visas. Elon, in the end, his grooming gang gambit does not seem to have paid off. It seems like there's more and more hostility towards him. So, as you said when we spoke earlier, Trump owns this in a week. Then what happens?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's going to be something that could cause an even deeper rift. Hopefully it does. That creates an opportunity for, factions like ours to sort of grow in rank and sort of gain a certain foothold. But what this maneuver also suggests is that her nomination was in trouble absent this move, right? Like, she wouldn't have done this for no reason. She knows this comes with some cost. The MAGA base is more sensitive to being betrayed than the Democrat base, as Russ just said earlier. So she wouldn't have done this unless she felt she had to. She probably was afraid she didn't have the votes unless she bent the knee in this way. Now, is there some other way that they're going to try and bend her to their will? Perhaps, although it seems to me like this was a major hurdle that she cleared by doing, a pretty brazen flip-flop, a pretty brazen, oh, well, never mind.
Well,
Never mind.
That's really her stock in trade, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's not the first
I did
time,
an
of
entire
course.
piece. Like, there's no core conviction Tulsi has ever expressed that she didn't wind up completely reversing herself on. So she'll go whichever way the wind blows. That's why I say with Tulsi Gabbard, she's either one of the most unscrupulous politicians we've ever seen, or she's actually being run as an intelligence services op. Personally, I think it's probably some of both.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, she went from advocating Medicare for all, a slightly different model than what we would like, but essentially a universal health care system, to denouncing the Build Back Better plan. And this was before she left the Democratic Party even. She didn't do that until 2022. But even during the Build Back Better negotiation, she went on Fox News and called Build Back Better, which was crumbs, basically.
Right.
She said it was cradle to grave nanny state liberalism. So how do you go from running on Medicare for all a year and a half ago, because that was 2021, she ran as a Democrat in 2020. How do you go from running on a Medicare for all type system from saying Build Back Better is cradle to grave nanny statism? I mean, that just shows that there's nothing you won't say if you feel that you have to in order to climb that next rung on the ladder. And that's what I'm saying. She wants this job. She does that because once you get denied, your momentum gets blunted. Now, what are you doing for 4 years, right? If she's in this nationally prominent foreign policy oriented position, that is a very good resume builder. It keeps her relevant among MAGA, and could be a real springboard towards a presidential run. She has the appeal and the talent, I would say, as a political figure, to the point where she might even be able to jump over J.D. Vance. Because as we saw, J.D. Vance, no real great shakes on the campaign trail. She's a better politician than he is, so she may be able to run in 4 years.
You got any jellies?
Yeah,
jellies?
yeah, exactly. Got any?
Or do you have custard?
You know, they don't make. I never seen a cinnamon frosted donut. I
always
saw
wonder-
chocolate frosted. I never saw cinnamon frosted.
I never saw that. How do you get the custard inside? I've always wondered that.
Yeah, exactly. So she might be able to beat him outright in 4 years, right? And she wants that. She definitely wants it. She's not going to settle for anything less, I don't think.
Yeah. And hey, who says the Antichrist can't be a woman?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. That's some sexism right there.
Yeah.
Please clap.